Like, living here all alone weren't much fun, really. I'd come home and put my pie in the oven and put the kettle on and watch a bit of the news and try and keep the time for going to the pub as late as possible. More often than not, it ended up like somewhere around about 8 o'clock and rolled down the pub and joined the other divorced characters in a similar situation, where, you know, life seemed a lot rosier after 11 o'clock when you'd had about 5 pints of bitter. I soon realised that you couldn't go on like that forever, or you would become just another bloke who props the bar up down the pub, you know. With not a lot to show for your life here on this planet.
Then Sue arrived, a young woman ready to see some virtue in steam.
Hi.
Yeah, you all right? My mechanical power. What he does then, we have the drills. All the way automatic, huh? Yeah, that's the gear for that. Flaming up iron. This is my tractor I'm working on, you know. Whether I'll ever get it finished or not, it's a different matter. Just my wonderful steam engine, see? Yeah, it's a bit mucked up at present. We've not cleaned it for a month or two, you know. Yeah, come on.
I first met Fred at a big steam rally in Cheshire. It was in the middle of all the divorce problems and everything. And Fred was, in fact, very drunk. He looked awful. He was sad and miserable, quite a pathetic sort of figure, really. None of the bounce that people sort of knew him for. Anyway, he invited us to a big chimney felling, and it was the one at Oldham, the one that he nearly brought down on the top of all of us.
Did you work your camera?
Well done. Congratulations.
Shortly after that, Fred rang me up and asked me if I would like to go out with him to give him a bit of support, I think, because he was going to Halifax to talk to the Fred Dibnah Appreciation Society, which, when we arrived at this little pub in Halifax, there were lots of men all sort of similar to Fred, all wearing flat caps and smoking woodbines.
I remember waking up in the middle of the night to a terrible row, and the landlord and the landlady, everybody were hopelessly drunk at the end of the evening, and the landlord and the landlady were actually throwing things at each other, and the projectiles were going through windows downstairs. Sounded like there were a bloody war on, you know. And when we got up there, all the windows were broke, you know, down below. Yeah, I'll never forget that as long as I live.
I moved in with Fred some months later, and that was when the press first really sort of got an inkling that there was something going on in Fred's life that they felt that the world should know about. And we had a lot of trouble with photographers camping out outside the house and following us to see where we were going.
The thing is that, you know, I don't like this living over the brush, as they call it. So, you know, I think she wanted to marry me as much as I wanted to marry her. So, you know, it sort of went from there, as you might say.
There is a big age difference between Fred and I. There are 20 years. People quite often said to me, "You out with your dad tonight?" And we found it quite amusing, but people found it very embarrassing and very difficult to cope with. Fred used to say quite often, "Oh, you're going to leave me for somebody younger, somebody handsome." Why, Fred? You know, I'm not looking for somebody young and handsome. You know, it's you I want, nobody else.
One day Susie said to me, "Why don't you grow a moustache, you see?" And it's a thing, like, I've always thought men who have moustaches are quite vain, you know. I've never really needed hair or a beard or a moustache to hide behind. So I thought, anyway, I'll have a go if it makes her happy, you see.
It was all sort of perhaps part of a master plan to sort of make it different here. It's very difficult moving into somebody else's house, and I made the effort to sort of make it so that it wasn't the same, and I think maybe that was what I was perhaps doing with Fred, just to change his visual image just a little bit. I didn't want to change Fred, just to make him look a bit different.